Environmental degradation. Two very big words. Known most commonly as global warming, environmental degradation caught my attention as an interesting topic to speak about because with the current epidemic, it is very easy to lose sight of other issues that were prominent prior to the frenzy. While social distancing should be of priority, it is important to keep in mind what kind of world will be waiting for us post-quarantine. To start out, I thought it would be helpful to provide some of my background with the subject. I have little to none. Growing up in a traditional Mexican household, my parents knew very little of environmental issues, raising my siblings and I with little instructions on how to care for our world. As I grew older, I had access to the issues in our world, and what kept coming up was referred to as global warming. When I first heard about this, I was 5. I was in 5th grade, and we were asked to create a project over it. I did 15 minutes of research which as a 5th grader meant that 10 of those videos were mainly videos. With that research, I created a poster that basically said, "Pollution is bad, pick up your trash." I got an A and shoved that poster board under my bed. And it wasn't until recently that through social media outlets, I saw just how pressing the issue of caring for the environment really is. Environmental degradation, as defined on Science Direct. Environmental segregation is the exhaustion of the world's natural resources: land, water, soil, air, etc. It occurs due to crimes committed by humans against nature. As strongly as it is worded, crimes don't necessarily mean acts punishable by jail time. And in all honesty, these crimes we are accused of committing, are actually people living their everyday life. So why is it that we are being accused of committing crimes against nature when our world is doing our daily activities? We as a society have become too comfortable. We have been accustomed to easy and convenient, and what we see as normal has become detrimental to the planet's future. All living things, from one-cell microbes to blue whales, depend on Earth's supply of air and water. When these resources are polluted, all forms of life are threatened, as stated by National Geographic. Zoning in on only my life, as little as I think about it, my future too depends on my future also depends on the environment's future. Recently, there has also been a movement to call more attention to mental health, and as likely as it may seem that the environment also impacts us in that aspect, as stated in Climate Reality, we've all heard about the risks of heat strokes, but did you know that warmer temperatures are linked to a 2% increase in mental health issues, such as stress, anxiety, and even PTSD? This is something that really caught my attention, because in all honesty, a common trend that has really surfaced is the strain that has been that is being socially isolated. Being cut off from our social connections and interactions has led to an increase in reported anxiety attacks as well as depressive episodes. Having a mind shift over to environmental degradation may serve as a scapegoat to some people, offering a new sort of light at the end of the tunnel and an optimistic view of that life will someday return to our normal. To better explain the impact a single person has in the grand scheme of things, I've decided to run through what my typical week now looks like. I currently work 6 days out of the 7 at Mercy Hospital. My hours typically range from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., and I tend to have 2 out of my 3 meals at the cafeteria with disposable utensils and packaging. After my shift is done, I'll come straight home where I'll either order in or make something easy. While doing my grocery shopping, I try to keep things as budget-friendly as I can, which means I buy a lot of packaged food. I know what you're thinking. We don't really care what I do in a week. This isn't a blog. How does this relate to the environment? I broke down my schedule, not to draw attention to how I should start cooking more at home or how I should do a home workout once in a while, but to show that while I am living my very simple lifestyle, I'm also creating an average of 4.4 pounds of trash daily. And so are you. According to the EPA, the average American person will produce about 5 pounds of trash. Sure, I'm not single-handedly running a nuclear plant, but everything I do in my day produces some sort of trash. From my go-to containers to the packaging I use, even the paper towels I use to dry my hands. While a big part of those are recyclable, in all honesty, it most of all ends in a landfill. I don't claim to be the most environmentally friendly person, but when I think of the pollution I'm creating now by doing things that are seen as normal, and how down the road my actions will eventually affect my own bloodline, it really makes me consider my default choices. In recap, I was right all those years ago. Pollution is bad, and I should still pick up my trash. But also the world depends on me to care for it in a much more deliberate way, for there to even be a future for me. Through my research, I discovered that a great deal of the world's problems stem back to normal people living their normal lives. For the sake of my conscience, I am pledging to myself to live a much more environmentally friendly and consumer conscious lifestyle.